All right. Okay, it's 12:30. It is a bit of a scary room to walk into, actually. They need like a back entrance, don't they, as well as that entrance?
Would you know, once I enrolled in a program... Is this not working?
I think it is.
It is? Oh, good.
Yep. Can you hear me at the back okay? Yep. Once I came to a no-week welcome session in this room a few years ago, and I sat over there, fourth row back, third seat in. I can remember it as clear as day. And I thought this was the biggest room I'd ever been in, and now I stand at the front and I think, yeah.
I actually think this is a scary room. But Jen, my colleague, really loves this room because... Did you get taught in this room and then went on to teach into this room, Jen?
I think so.
Yeah. So we each have different feelings around the same place. All right, let's get started. I'm trying to... You know, this is not my forte, is it?
Do you want me to be
Definitely back at work now.
I'm just trying to get the slide to move and it won't with it. Yes, please. Or Katia. This is what it means to work together. Okay. We are always on country. Country is a place of teaching, learning, research and scholarship. We acknowledge elders and ancestors of country where Flinders University campuses are located. We are meeting here today on Kaurna Yatha, Kaurna People's Country, and where Flinders University's first campus was established. The Sturt campus here at Bedford Park, where we primarily study and work, is located at the foot of Nganu, Kaurna ancestor, which is also near Warraparinga. Warraparinga is a significant site in the complex and multi-layered dreaming of Kaurna ancestor Trebruki. Trebruki is a keeper of the fire and a peacemaker, lawmaker. Trebruki's spirit lives in the land and waters and in Kaurna people and in the glossy ibis, known as Trebruki for Kaurna. Finally, we acknowledge Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples in this session and that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people's sovereignty was never ceded. It has existed since the first sunrise and will be here until the last sunset. Magic worked. Okay, so great to see so many people here. And this is an orientation and information and welcome session where we'll concentrate on the health sciences parts of your degrees. My name's Tracy Ann Rankin and I'm the acting first year transition coordinator. And here I have colleagues and Jane Harford, who's the course coordinator. And I have to say, I go to Jane nearly every day with a question because I'm still learning as well. So I think you'll also find yourself sometimes or often writing to Jane in her role as course coordinator. I'm going to hand over to you.
So good morning and... Oh, sorry, it's afternoon, isn't it? Welcome to the session. So we've already established that there are three groups of students in the room, and the reason that we have you together is because you're all doing a double degree that includes a Bachelor of Health Sciences as your undergraduate component. So just very quickly, our plan for today is for you to spend about an hour with us and we'll talk about health sciences and particularly the first year in the next few weeks. And then your discipline team, occupational therapy, optometry or physio, will come and pick you up and take you, and you'll meet the teaching team from your discipline and talk to them in a little bit more detail about your studies towards being an OT or an optometrist or a physiotherapist. Just to be clear, I'm the course coordinator for the Bachelor of Health Sciences part of your program. Anything related to the Master's part of your program, you'll meet the relevant course coordinator later today. But certainly in your first few weeks, I can be your go-to person, and if I'm not the right person to answer your questions, I can certainly help you find somebody who can. So, last week we sent an email out to everybody who was enrolled in your degree on that day, and we asked you to let us know if you had anything in particular that you would like us to cover in the session today. And there was a very long list. I think there was about 35 responses from students doing one of these 3 double degrees, but this list distills those down to a handful. So one of the things that we will do today is try and make sure that we cover off on all of these things that you said that you wanted to know. Now, having said that, if a question comes up that you would like answered, please feel free to put your hand up and ask during the session or follow up with us afterwards. You'll get chances to ask questions when you go and talk to your discipline team, and you've got contact details for me. You can always send me an email with any questions that come up. Our goal for today is not for you to know everything about everything that you'll do for the next 5 years. Our goal for today is to make sure that you can hit the ground in good order next week, and information that you need after that will come to you either from us or within your topics.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Jane. Navigating Sturt Campus, that comes with practice. So there is going to be a map that we can alert you to, link you to, but actually I think the best way to do it is you just have to find that place. Buddy up.
I've got a useful tip as well.
Carty is going to give us a useful tip. Yep.
So there is actually, so it's not an official Flinders website, it's actually like an external website. It's called Student VIP, and if you put into Google Flinders University Room XXX Sturt Campus, Student VIP will come up in your Google searches, and that will give you a little pinpoint marker on the map. So it may not be able to kind of tell you what floor, how to navigate the floors, but you will at least be able to see the little pinpoint.
Can I just add, there will be an opportunity to go on a tour of campus later in the afternoon. They're running tours from downstairs outside the cafeteria. I'm hoping that your discipline teams will point that out to you, but you can certainly ask them to drop you off there after your second session and take a tour around the campus, and you'll get a sense of the geography of the campus, and you can ask the people running the tour to explain where you can find rooms as well.
And if you are someone who's not spatially aware and you know it, there's actually going to be a compass placed in the courtyard so that you can work out if you're facing west, south, east or north. Some of us may have a compass on us because we have them in our phones, but that will help orientate you as well. All right. Okay, so we assume that you've encountered barriers because that's really normal in this process. And as Jane said, we're going to hopefully help to clarify some of the things that you might be wondering about what it means to be at uni. Okay, so have you got a plan for study? So there's a lot of elements to the idea of that. One of them is that you've enrolled in your topics, but we're also talking about other things in relation to studying. So map your timetable. Have you got some face-to-face labs or interactive online sessions? Map key dates. When are your assignments due? Is there a group assignment? What are the requirements for each assignment? So kind of get ahead of the game. So study hack, that's come from us being students ourselves, but also being academics here. So a study hack is, and I know that this may sound like, a bit of work, but you're doing work now for your future self. Count back at least 2 weeks from a due date to give yourself time to complete assignments effectively and to seek support if necessary. So the idea that you need support is very normal. You're starting out here. You're going to need to ask questions. Asking them not the night before something's due, but maybe the week before, 10 days before, is actually going to give you the time that you need to manage.
And I would just want to emphasise, really, really recommend you doing those things, especially that second one, because the reality of the way that assessments tend to work is that all of your topics tend to have an assessment due around the same time, right? And that will happen probably 3 times or so, 3 or 4 times over the semester. So if you have a pre-made visual calendar timetable thing that tells you, okay, this is that week where I've got 3 assignments that are due, that means then in those previous weeks I'm going to have to be doing all of this work. So it's a really good idea to get everything onto a document at the start of the semester, and then you have that visual guide.
Thank you, Katia. So current self is actually looking after future self, is another way of thinking about it. A really big part of developing a tertiary student disposition is making time to study. So think about when is going to be, or when are, plural, going to be good times to study. Think about your week, think about your work week, think about your other commitments across your life, and look at where there might be chunks of time. And you'll need at least 10 to 12 hours per week for a full-time study load. So think about, when will that be available to you? What days and times of the week will you be able to study? All right, so that's about the planning. This is something that's really curious to Flinders University. We refer to units of study as topics. So what we mean by a topic is a specific area or unit of study, like a subject. And for example, and we've got the TC for this topic in the room, just looking at one of the topics that we have in Health Sciences, Introduction to Digital Health, as a unit of study, it explores the role of digital systems in health and healthcare. Students are introduced to a range of topics on the use of digital systems in the healthcare system and the applications of digital platforms in health and healthcare. So it's a health sciences topic specifically looking at digital systems in health and healthcare. So this is just one example that we've drawn out of a topic. The topics all have learning outcomes, and the learning outcomes are what shape every part of the topic, and will be also assessing you in our assessments. We'll be assessing you in relation to the learning outcomes. Every topic has a coordinator who supports and leads the topic, and we've got quite a few topic coordinators here in the room today. Online versions and on-campus versions have a mixture of lectures, readings, short videos, short texts and activities to support your learning. And these activities support you to develop and apply knowledge and understanding of the topic's content. So that's what we mean by a topic. It's like doing a discrete subject, and if many of you have come from school, you'll have a sense of what that is. What to expect from a topic? Okay, so we have something called, have you heard people start talking about flow or canvas? Have you heard people? Okay, so you'll hear that term all the time, and it's in relation to our learning management system, or LMS. What's really great about flow or canvas is that it's consistent in how it looks across topics, and this helps you to feel a sense of belonging and a sense of self-efficacy, which is where you start to feel, yep, I'm getting good at this, I'm understanding what's taking place. And every topic has its own flow or canvas site, and this is where all the learning content can be accessed. The terms flow and canvas are often used interchangeably, but in the context of Flinders University, they mean the same thing. Okay, another study hack. We love a study hack, or maybe I just love a study hack, and I want you all to love them as well.
Please love the study hacks.
So explore the topics, each topic's flow or canvas site to get a feel for the topic's architecture. So that's how it's presented, how it flows, the logic. There's a logic to every topic, and there's a logic to every topic's flow or canvas page. Learn about the topic expectations. Every topic has expectations. Those expectations will be around communication. They'll be around how much we expect work-wise you need to do. So learn about the expectations of the topic, and also you get to just find your way around. How do you access the topic's content and assessments? Put your hand up if you started looking at the topics on the Flow Canvas topics. Some. Good. Okay, great. Good numbers. Those who haven't, try and do that before next week, because there may be things you need to have done before week 1. Are topics assessments? So we talked about looking at the assessments. That's one thing I didn't say. On campus and online topics have the same learning outcomes, but the assessments may be different. And a topics assessment, the assessments when you go into Flow or Canvas, you'll see that they include comprehensive instructions and prescribe how artificial intelligence tools can be used. And each topic has a different use of artificial intelligence tools, so you have to make sure that you're aware of what the differences may be across the topics. Any questions about topics before we go on?
Not yet, maybe.
Yeah, bring your questions to classes, and we expect there to be lots of questions, and we're here to answer those. Okay, so we're going to look at a Flow/Canvas site. Now, I won't say Flow/Canvas because that's weird. When I'm speaking to you in class, I won't use those terms. I'll probably use them interchangeably. Okay, so we're going to open up a topic that you'll do this year. The Opto students will do this topic in first semester, Strengths-Based Approaches to Health Working with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Peoples. When I open this topic, I'm going to start looking at things that you'll see that are similar across different topics. What are you thinking?
I was just wondering if you clicked it and if it's loading in the background because you're still in full screen.
Hang on. I think you'll get to see something you'll all do every day at least 10 times, which is log in. So, Katia, can you hold my mic while I do that? This feels like you're perpetually doing it like you're in a Greek myth or something. You're always putting in your details. I was saying to students yesterday, it feels onerous and you can get frustrated, but it is how, we protect the information in the system. Doesn't mean you can't grizzle about it to yourself and others. Okay. So, done. This is what it looks like on the strengths-based approaches to, thank you, Katia, to health working with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples Flow site. So there's a home page, which is where you'll always land, and you'll see that often the topic coordinators have placed announcements or pinned announcements at the top of the home page. There's also announcements in this menu here, but the recent announcements are probably a really good place for you to start if you haven't already looked there. If you haven't read an announcement, a little black dot will appear against the announcement, and that's a prompt to say, read me, I've got some really important information in here. So that's a really good place to start. But when you're first coming here, have a scroll down, because we can see here Tirupa, who is the topic coordinator for, co-topic coordinator for 1012, has done an introductory video. There's an invitation to locate where you are on country using the IATSIS map. And there's just some other links. One of the first ones that I'll look at is modules. So every topic has modules, and I think they all have the equivalent of 12 modules, Jane? Yeah. And you can see here, as soon as you come to the modules page, there's a whole lot of information which is titled in this topic, Finding Your Way in this topic. So this would be a great place to start in week 0. And there'll be equivalents on other pages. They might be called something a bit different, but at the beginning, at the top, there'll be information that you need to become familiar with so that you can start to build that sense of belonging and self-efficacy in the topic. This topic has, and all of the topics will have, teaching team and communication expectations. So that's a really great place to go to as well, because that's saying, if you want to contact us, this is the preferred manner in which to do it, and this is how we want you to do it. So that's a really good place to go. There's a whole lot of other information here that would be great for you to look at just as you start in this topic, including assignment information and other things that are particular to the topic. We can see here that Sarah and Tiripa, who are the co-coordinators, have got a week 0, which is what we're in at the moment. So there's orientation there as well. And then we've got the modules or weeks here, and they're all opened up at the moment. Well, these ones have only been published because the topic coordinators are still tweaking things. But the first week is published, and you can access that now. Another place that we also invite you to look at is readings, and there'll be readings associated with each week. Other topics have textbooks, Jane?
Some do, but many of our topics just have a collection of online readings for you, so that either they're direct links to external web pages that we want you to read, or videos that we want you to look at online. They might be chapters from textbooks, they might be journal articles. If they are either chapters from textbooks or journal articles, generally there'll be a link to the library electronic version of those, so that you can look at them. If they're a textbook, the textbook can sometimes be a bit tricky, because often only 3 to 5 people can use it at once. Generally, I have found that with the topic that I coordinate, that sometimes has up to 500 students in it, if I look at it after hours, I can access it. So you might need to just plan your use of those resources a little bit.
Thank you. So, for instance, in Health 1012, there are 3 readings and 2 of them are required, and I think the 3rd one is required as well. So just getting a sense of what's happening from week to week via Flow/Canvas is actually a good way to set yourself up for what the weeks that are about to come. And as the weeks come along, you'll start to feel that there's a building of assessments and so forth. So doing a lot of that preliminary work now, having a look around, is a really great way to orientate yourself in relation to being a tertiary student. What else do we want to look at while we're here? This is what it looks like for me. So everyone's a little bit different. Yep, let's look at assignments. So I'm in teacher mode. When it's in student mode, it will look a little bit different, but very similar. Yeah, view as student. Oh, done. Okay. Did you hear that frustration in my voice? It's like, I don't want to do that. Please let me get on with it. Okay. So here you've got in Health 1012 the assignments, and I think we're all working in Cadmus this semester, is that right? And so there'll be information about that that's topic specific. But here you can see there's information on what, frequently asked questions. Can I get an extension? How will my work be assessed? How do I format this assignment? So forth. So have a look at least 2 weeks out, at this kind of stuff.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
I would actually do it a lot earlier than that. And the reason is that the things that you're learning will make more sense to you if you understand the assessments and why you're learning them. That will help you with, I was going to say motivation, but we don't do motivation, we do momentum. There's no such thing as a motivation theory.
We'll talk about that.
But it will help you to see where what you're doing early on when you're new to your topics and still haven't quite got an anchor. Knowing what the assessments are can help you have a bit of an anchor to the content. and to be able to focus on it and make sense of it.
Okay, thank you, Jane.
Also, I thought I would just add, since we had a big conversation about moving to Cadmus yesterday in one of our topic meetings. So sometimes, we were talking about how previously all of the assignment information would have been on that assignment page, but now you may find most of the assignment instructions actually on Cadmus rather than on that page we just showed you. So just be aware of that as well.
Yeah, and you'll get lots of support in your class around that. All right. So, I invite you to have a squirrel around the flowing canvas pages of the topics, just to start to build a sense of what that feels like to be in there, but also start to get a sense of what's expected of you in week 0 in anticipation for week 1. Jane, I'm going to hand over to you to talk about the next part.
So topics, as we've said, are sort of subjects, and the standard full-time university load at Flinders is 4 topics per semester. And for most of your degrees, the topics that you do in first year are all set. The exception to that is students within physiotherapy who have an elective. The Bachelor of Health Sciences is built around 5 core topics. Everybody should do Research and Study Skills 1 in semester 1, and that would be automatically on your study plan. And then depending on whether you're doing OT, physio or optometry, the other 4 core topics that are listed up there will sit in one semester or the other, and they're organised around the extra topics that you do, the 3 specific topics that you do in your discipline. So occupational therapy students will do a health promotion topic, a topic that looks at the experience of disability across the life course, and also a topic that introduces you in second semester to what occupational therapy is about and being an OT. For those of you who are doing optometry, you'll need some chemistry and some physics. So you'll do chemistry in semester 1, I think, and then physics in semester 2, and then also in semester 2 you'll do a topic that introduces you to some elements that are specific to your future profession. And if you're doing physiotherapy, there's a biology topic in semester 1 and a topic again that introduces you to physiotherapy as a profession in semester 2, and that elective topic that I talked about. And an elective topic is any topic at the university that you meet prerequisites for. That's a lot of topics. So if you're overwhelmed by that and you want some ideas, I can help you with that very quickly.
Next slide.
Yeah. So does that look familiar to all of you? That aligns with what you've enrolled in? And if you've got credit, you may potentially take some second year topics, mix some second year topics into your first year of study as well. Okay, so this is what your study plan looks like for the first year of your Bachelor of Health Science component. I could show you what everything looks like for the first 3 years or the whole 5 years, but really by the time we're finished with the next slide, we'll have forgotten most of that. And it doesn't really matter for you now, unless you're one of those people who've got credit. And if you have and you want to talk about whether you can take any second year topics, I'd be happy to do that. So you will see each other and a whole bunch of other students doing other health science and other allied health related degrees in a number of your core topics. If you are doing physio, you'll take your biology topic across the
Program?
well, no, I'm just thinking it's a ravine, I guess.
Oh,
The right
ravine.
way. But on the other side.
Oh,
of
you're
the
talking about
campus,
where
in
it's,
Bedford Park.
yeah.
I hate saying up the hill. People talk about up the hill when they talk about the other side of it. And
There
then-
is a sister campus.
Yes. So you'll have a bit of travel to there, and also the chem and physics topics will also be on the main campus as well. But other than that, your topics will be here on the Sturt campus.
Yep, this is your home campus. By the end of your degrees, this is a very long way away, I know, but not really. But by the end of your degrees, you'll be able to sleepwalk the halls of this space. But now it's feeling very new, and we understand that. Okay. Those codes at the top, DDBP, that's to Jane and I. So that's just that kind of data that doesn't mean anything to anyone else but us. What I'm going to do now, though, is introduce you to my colleagues in health sciences, and many of them you'll see as tutors. But in this mode, in this context, you're meeting them as topic coordinators, and some tutors are here as well. So I'd like to invite Roweda and your crew, if you want to bring your crew up. So Roweda Saleem is the topic coordinator for Human Biosciences. We often refer to topics by their number code. So if you hear us say 1004, that's a shorthand for Human Biosciences. Oh, Boris, you're here too. The crew. Thank you, Roweda.
Hi everyone, welcome to your O Week. Hopefully so far you're enjoying it. So I'm Roweda Saleem, so I coordinate Human Bioscience. I think you've already received my welcome announcement on Flow, and you'll be able as well to access it on your email. Now, before I'm going to talk about the topic, let me as well present and introduce as well the ANP team, which is Anatomy and Physiology team. So I've got here Boris.
Hi everyone, I'm Boris Budiona, and I'm new to Flinders and new to Adelaide as well.
Hello everyone, my name is Georgia Clark. I'm new to Flinders as well, so going through this journey with you, and yeah, really keen to meet you all in Human Biosciences.
Hi everyone, I'm Bianca Gorgetti. I'll be one of your demonstrators as well, part of the AMP team. We are all new to Flinders, but have been teaching anatomy and physiology at different institutions for many years, but new here as well, so we'll find our way together.
You're going to find, if you refer to your timetable, you're going to have me as your demonstrator, Boris, Georgia, or Bianca, and also we've got Elizabeth and Nadine. And to give you maybe an overview about the topic, Human Bioscience will provide you an introduction about basics regarding human structure and function, in this case, anatomy and physiology. So every week we'll be covering one of the body systems, and that's why you're going to find that will be, whether you're doing OT, physio, you're going to have a clear overview about all the body systems, in case later on you're going to decide maybe you change your mind or choose a different discipline. But overall, this topic, you're going to find it's very engaging. We try to use inquiry-based learning when we're going to be running our experiments and the practical sessions. You're going to find that I'll be sending you a Qualtrics survey asking you about feedback, whether you're enjoying it, what things needs to be changed. Based on previous years, I had students saying that they found musculoskeletal sessions that are very boring. So I referred back to the literature as being everything being evidence-based. I found out that using body painting is one of the effective and engaging ways to run musculoskeletal. And this is what you're going to find when we're going to be running these sessions that we'll be using body painting, and you'll be playing with the Play-Doh. And at the same time, it's going to be engaging and you'll be able to retain your knowledge. Also, at one stage, I asked students about whether they enjoy the assessment pieces. I had the feedback that students, they didn't enjoy one of the assessment pieces, let's name it X. So I reviewed the literature and evidence-based. I found out that using Artifact as a STEAM, as science, technology, education, art, and mathematics will be very useful to assess anatomy and physiology. And that's why you're going to find one of the assessment pieces will be Artifact. So your feedback will be very, very useful. And this is one of the values of Flinders, that we are very student-centered. We love innovation and trying new things. We care about your success as well. We care about your well-being. So we want you to enjoy what you're studying as well to succeed. So during any stage of your study, if you find if you're facing any, let's say, issues with your study, please reach out, let us know. And maybe as a take-home message, just to know about and have, let's say, a spice about the topic. Does anyone know how many vertebrae do we have at the level of our vertebral column? Any guesses? 10, 20, 30, 40? In case not, do you know how many you've got at the level of your neck as cervical?
Someone's putting their hand up.
Yeah. Maybe 12 altogether? 12 altogether? Okay, so let me, maybe, anyone want to have another guess? Okay, so let me make it very easy for you. So at the level of your neck, think about that. You're going to have an early breakfast, so you've got 7 vertebrae, okay? And then later on at the level of your thoracic, you're going to have lunch, early lunch, which is midday, will be at 12 o'clock. So in this case, at the level of your thoracic area, you've got 12 vertebrae. And later on, because you need to go sleep early, next day you've got, let's say, uni, then you need to have an early dinner. Let's say it is at 5 p.m., which is going to be your lumbar area. So in this case now, you've got a sense about how we'll be running the topic, and you can go home thinking about, now I know how many vertebrae I've got at the level of my vertebral column. So enjoy your day, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Ruwaida. Thanks, team. Seven, 12, 5. Vertebrae. Okay, thank you. I'd now like to invite up Neil Bretana. Neil is going to be talking on behalf of Health 1010, but as I said, Neil also coordinates another topic. Thanks, Neil.
Thanks, Tracy Ann. So welcome, everyone. It's good to see such a huge turnout. So I'm teaching Health 1010, which is research and study skills. So there's 2 focus areas in this topic, research and study skills, right? So research focusing on how to do proper professional research as opposed to just Googling stuff and using Gemini, which I'm sure a lot of you do. So it's really honing in on those skills. We have some library sessions. We're getting some workshops on how to do your research or your reference searching and those kind of things, looking at data sources. And the second aspect of it is study skills, which is more on the professional development, so getting you into the university setting and learning on how to do things professionally and how to act as professionals, how to carry yourselves around in a professional sense, and also to mingle with your peers, because these are the people you will be working with as you go on in your careers. So it's really about integrity and community, and hopefully it helps ease your way into university life, and it scaffolds into research and study skills 2 and 3 as you go on in your career and in your courses. I'm co-TCing this with Morgan, but I'm doing the face-to-face. So if you have any questions or any queries, you can direct them to me.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you, Neil.
So evidence-based practices, that's what we're rolling into our practices as health professionals, in whatever role that takes. Thank you, Neil. Okay, Jen, who loves this room. And Beck, who I'm not sure how she feels about this room. I haven't taken a... Jen taught in here and got taught in here, and so she has an affinity for this room. Oh. So, yes, so Jen and Beck are sharing the TC role of interpersonal and interprofessional communication. Thank you for both being here.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Jen. I've been at Flinders for a very, very long time. I'm not new. I did my undergraduate honours and PhD here, so I've been here for over 20 years and loved it so much. I now teach here, and I've been teaching here for about a decade, on and off too. So my background is in psychology, and I will be your topic coordinator for Health 1304 in semester 1, whereas Beck will be your topic coordinator if you take it in semester 2. So it's run in both semesters during the year. So I absolutely love this topic, and I hear from students that they love this topic too. Broadly, you will learn how to communicate with others, one-on-one and in teams, so you'll develop interpersonal communication skills. You'll also learn how to reflect on your learning and your performance. You'll learn how to work in teams across disciplines, so hopefully it will be an interprofessional group in your tutorial, and you'll learn how to communicate ethically and apply cultural safety principles. So that's broadly what you will do in the topic, and you'll be assessed through personal written reflections, a group oral presentation that's delivered live, and also a final demonstration of your communication skills. Now, to prepare you for those assessments, it's really important that you come along to class. It's really, really fun. We create a safe and supportive learning environment. We do role plays. You practice your oral presentation skills. You do a lot of reflecting in groups, get to know your peers. So it's a really important transition topic. When you come to university, there's a lot of talking in tutorials, so you get to know other students, create friendships, and you get to know staff, and we can answer any questions that you have. Now, that might sound really exciting to some of you if you're more extroverted. It might sound really intimidating if you aren't an extrovert. So I really encourage you to try and embrace a growth mindset and be courageous. Come along to class each week and give it a go. So back yourself, back everybody else in the class too, encourage each other, because it can be really nerve-wracking practicing communication skills with each other. So take those smart risks, reflect on your experiences, and you will improve your communication skills. Beck and I will both be tutors in the topic this semester, but we also have a fantastic team of really experienced tutors.
Sure. Hi, I'm Rebecca. I think it's probably worth mentioning that in addition to my teaching role, I have an active research role within the university, and my research is actually all about healthcare communication and developing therapeutic relationships. So I'm really passionate about this topic, and I truly believe communication is one of the key ways in which healthcare is actually achieved. The anatomy and physiology are of utmost importance, the chemistry, the biology, but you could have the best clinical expertise or knowledge in the world, but if you don't know how to interact and communicate with the people that you're caring for, how to develop trust with them, then you're not going to be able to meet their needs in the most optimal way. And what I'd also encourage you to think about when you're taking this topic is think about what it's also like from the perspective of the patient or the client, because you're all consumers of healthcare as well. So as you interact with the healthcare system, think about what it feels like from your end, how people interact with you and how people communicate with you, what's good and potentially what's not so good as well.
So great. Thank you both. That was a really great point, Beck. You actually have lived experience as health consumers, and so that's going to shape a whole lot of things, including how you approach the topics, how you approach your degrees, how you approach the practices and allied health spaces that you're going to work into. So being mindful of that now is actually really powerful for becoming a reflective practitioner, which you guys look at as well. Okay, so this is a lovely segue actually into a topic that I teach into with CARTIA, strengths-based approaches to health, working with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. And CARTIA is going to talk about the topic on behalf of the TCs and ourselves.
Alrighty, so good morning, not good morning, I just did the same thing that Jane did earlier. It is afternoon. So, like Tracy just said, so my name's Katia. I'm not the TC, one of the TCs. I'm just here to kind of spruik the topic for you. So I'm one of the non-Aboriginal members of the teaching team. So at the moment, Tracy and I are the non-Aboriginal members of the teaching team. So, and then the rest of our teaching team is made up by Aboriginal staff members. So because I'm not the TC, I'm just going to read something that I've got on my phone because I like to, I want to be able to do the topic justice. So 1012 is designed to give you a foundational understanding of a few key things. We've got strengths-based approaches to health and well-being, we've got cultural safety, and then we've got critically reflective practice. So the general central aim of our course is to get students started in the learning journey that will enable them to bring these different things into their healthcare practice. So and as I said before, we're a teaching team made up of Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal academics and educators, and the resources that we use in the topic all come from Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people's scholarship and research and knowledge and experience. And from a personal perspective, I really love teaching 1012 because I think apart from the really excellent kind of learning materials, the focus that we have on critical reflexivity really creates a unique space for not just students but for staff as well to actually engage in a journey of really profound learning that is most likely going to be absent from some of your other topics. So it's a really fabulous, kind of unique topic, I think, in a lot of ways. And so I just want to talk just about a little bit more about the kind of central focuses. So we start by looking at the concept of deficit discourse, and we start to develop a critical capacity to identify and unpack examples of deficit discourse in narratives around Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, and the ways that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples are represented, spoken about or thought about in different cultural contexts, for example, in the media or within health discourses. We also look then at strengths-based approaches as a really powerful alternative to deficit discourse. So here, as the health practitioner, our goal becomes to identify and focus on strengths rather than deficits. So what works well for this person? What strengths do they have? What resources do they have access to? How can we draw on and incorporate these things into the way that we work with them as a practitioner? And we also do some really deep work around positioning ourselves culturally, because developing a critical understanding of how our own cultures influence our own behaviours, beliefs, actions and practices is really vital in developing that reflexive practice as a health professional, and also in working towards cultural safety. And when we talk about cultural safety in our topic, we're not talking about having really deep and comprehensive knowledge and understanding about all the different cultures of all the different people you may be working with as professionals. What we talk about when we talk about cultural safety is the focus on making sure that we have a capacity to practice in a way that doesn't prioritise our own cultural beliefs or background and our own perspectives over those of the people that we're working with. So developing that critical reflexivity is really important there. If we begin to ask questions like, where do our own behaviours and thoughts and practices come from? What are the underlying ideas or concepts that underpin those? Where do those ideas and concepts come from? Which group in society benefits from those and who's excluded by them, etc. And we also do some more, we have a lot of kind of deep, complex, sometimes difficult work that we do in the topic. So another thing that we do is we situate ourselves in relation to colonisation. And we think about colonisation not as a historical event, but as an ongoing process, and our own relationships to that process and our positions within it, both as people and as health practitioners living, studying and working on occupied and unceded lands. And we also think about colonisation as a significant social determinant of health. And we also look at racism, intersectionality and privilege, and again we're positioning ourselves in relation to those things. And then we also further explore what cultural safety can look like in practice, and how, as a non-Aboriginal health practitioner, you can practice critical allyship through the work that you do. And then we try to kind of bring all of those ideas towards the end of the topic, and then we kind of do that by looking at a series of case studies. And so we kind of do a lot of practice around trying to kind of just start to practice some of that kind of complex thinking. Do you have anything you'd like to add, Tracy?
No. Sorry, I think I turned this. Here I am. Look, the topic is fabulous, and I get very excited and really enthusiastic when I teach it. So if I'm your tutor, I hope that you are able to take part of that enthusiasm and feeling and understand that this is a really valuable and also integral part to your practice, but also the way that you'll do interpersonal and interprofessional communication. So there's a relationship between all of these topics, and all of us are very excited about our topics. So I think that it will come by being in the room with us that you'll get the journey So thank you, Katia. I
That's all
appreciate
right.
you talking on behalf of 1012. And so I'm going to introduce Jane, who is the course coordinator, but also she wears multiple hats. Another hat is the topic coordinator for 1306, Understanding Health and Illness and Health and Social Care in Australia.
Thanks, Tracy Ann. So this is a topic that introduces you to health outside of the body, in a sense. We spend the first few weeks of the topic looking at what we call social determinants of health. So these are really the conditions in which people are born, grow, live, work, age. So the conditions in which we live our lives and how they affect our health. And we look at that across the Australian population, and we consider how the conditions in which people live might affect their health and what that might mean for you as a clinician in future. The next few weeks of the topic, we shift our attention to the Australian healthcare system, and we look at some aspects of the healthcare system through a lens of access to care. So you'll have two things going on in your learning there. One is learning about different elements of the healthcare system, so some of the structures and the people who work in the system, but also some of the programs that help the system to run smoothly and to enable access for Australian citizens. So most of you who are Australian citizens or permanent residents will be really familiar with one of those programs, Medicare. You might also be familiar with the Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme. Both of those enable relatively cheap access to two, in particular, key kinds of health services. And in the final 2 weeks, we will start to look more closely at something that's already come up in some of the topics, but that is yourself as both a user of health services, but also your developing identity as a provider of health services. Your lived experience as a user of health services will be really valuable in this topic, because you will all have had experiences of going to the GP or going to other health services and being on the user side of the reception desk and of the conversation in the consulting room. And we'll start to get you to think about, well, what would your role be, apart from your clinical expertise, on the other side of that interaction. And you will draw in this topic on not only your lived experience, but the work that you do in the research and study skills topic, because we'll be very much asking you to take a step away from the layperson's understanding that you have now about what affects health. And it's often not the things that we see in the media that are most important. And also, as a user of health services, to taking a professional perspective on the health system. And we ask you to look at the research evidence that underpins that. So to shift your focus from maybe your current sources of information to learning how to use the research that's available to answer the questions about what makes us sick and healthy and what are the things that influence our access to healthcare. So I look forward to working with you on this topic.
Thank you, Jane. Before I introduce another Jane, I just wanted to see who here in the room has chosen the degree program because of their own experiences of healthcare. Can you put your hand up if that was a really big part of why you decided to be doing a double degree? Yeah, we've got quite a few people, yeah. So your experiences shape your decisions. That's a really powerful thing to understand about ourselves.
Can I just say something? Often
Yes.
one of the things that is kind of understood but not really said is that when you're working as health professionals, you're acting as role models for young people who are looking at you and thinking, oh, I like what that person did for me. I want to be like them.
Thanks, Jane. And now, lastly, of our TCs is Jane Taylor-Madison, and Jane's going to tell you what health promotion for health professionals is all about. Thank you, Jane.
Thank you. I'm speaking mainly to the OT students who I'll have. I'm the TC. I'm also the tutor on the Fridays, and we don't have Amy or Hannah with us today, but I've got a small group that I've got as tutors, and we're working together. So we're really looking forward to having you in our sessions each week, where we will be exploring what health promotion is, looking at different examples of what health promotion is. Has anybody heard of slip, slop, slap? Yes. So that's a really simple example of health promotion that's been around for very many years, that's very multifaceted. We will look at lots of different things about what health promotion is, how it can look like, and it's not just about being put in the shade if you don't have your hat at recess. It's got a multifaceted levels that we'll explore throughout the semester. We'll also look at the different theories and evidence base behind health promotion and how we deliver health promotion, whether you're a health promotion practitioner or whether you're an OT, or I know physios and optometrists also do health promotion, because health promotion is everybody's business. Thank you.
Slip, slop, slap, but there's also slide and shade. Is that right? Rap. I thought that was slide.
Maybe that's slide.
I knew there was a lot of S's. Yes, that's what I was thinking. Thanks, everybody.
So can I just say, so we've only talked mainly about the core topics today. The other topics for most of you are in second semester. There's an exception to that with the physio students, and you'll learn more about those topics when you go into semester 2.
Thank you, Jane. We've got a few more slides, but we don't have enough time. So I just wanted to touch on 2 more things before we say goodbye for now. One of those is key to success in your studies. So your other degree programs might speak about this as well, but I think it's really important. It's kind of circling back to where we were before. So in 2013, there was a project across the 3 universities. There was once 3 universities here, now there's only 2. And 13 years ago, this study looked at the gap between student expectations of university and their actual experiences in their first year of university. And the project found, among other things, that the recommended amount of study for university subjects is 6 to 10 hours per week per subject outside of class time. And this is double what was expected of students at school and is equivalent to a full-time job. So we really want you to start to think about how you're going to make and hold time for your subjects. It's an imperative. So another thing that the research from that, or the evidence from that project tells us, is that you must make time for your studies. I've said that by being proactive. That's actually taking action and not just hoping something will take place. Keeping up is better than catching up. So try and stay a little bit ahead, or make sure that you've got that, you're holding space every week for studies. Seek out support and services. The university has a wealth of services, and we, as the topic coordinators and tutors, can support you as well. Have a plan for your study. We talked about that. Do you have a study routine? Work out how you best study. Also work out what does not work for you, because if you can try and get a sense of both of those things, you'll be able to move towards working out what's best for you. Also work out what fuels you, what keeps you going. One thing that I wanted to just very quickly mention, and Jen gifted me this idea. Jen's not here. Jen gifted all of us in the team this idea last year, that there is no motivation fairy. They do not exist, right? So you don't wait for that fairy to fly through your window and into your room and into your head, because they don't exist. What we know is action. Doing something before you feel like doing it precedes motivation. And then this becomes a cycle, right? So it builds momentum. Jane, you talked about momentum. So, yes. So you're going to have to do things even when you really don't want to do them, because we know there is no motivation fairy. And the research says you have to start before you feel ready. Then you'll feel more motivated, and then you'll take more action. So, really important. What's the time? We've got 1 more minute. Another thing that I just want to speak about is belonging. We know that belonging is really, really important. And the research is really gathering in this space for tertiary students, particularly first year, and this is you guys. So we know that belonging comes through small actions, and one of the things that this paper found was that participants felt they belonged among their peers through mutual engagement in classes, discussions, and sharing ideas. Mutual support by sharing experiences and helping each other to learn, working out together how to tackle a task, learning from each other about the world and themselves, and a general sense of unity, community, and camaraderie. That takes place from coming to class, being in tutorials, being in workshops, being on discussion boards, being part of your cohorts, being part of your peerships is going to build your belonging. So you can do that from being part of a group, a club. How else can we do that, Jane? Through being in the topics, both virtually, on Flow and Canvas, and also attending classes.
That's a good start.
Yeah. Belonging actually helps you to feel like you're also good at what you're doing. All right, I'm going to leave it there because we can keep talking about belonging until the sun sets, but we do need to let you go. And I'm a terrible timekeeper, so I need to be cognizant of that. Jason, are you here to show the... Oh, okay.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
We'll introduce them and then we'll ask the student you to take one group at a time.
Yeah. Oh, wait. We won't use that. Do we need them to stay? The students. Yeah.
So if you just wait for one moment, I'll introduce you to your discipline person and ask one group at a time to go. And seeing as Jason was here first, the Opto students will go first. But before that, I want to introduce all of you to all of the course coordinators for the 3 programs. You'll see them in the corridor. Even if they're not your course coordinator, say hello to them if you do. So Jason Booth is the course coordinator for the Master of Optometry program. Elise Wilcourt is the course coordinator for the Master of Occupational Therapy program, and Claire Baldwin is the course coordinator for the Master of Physiotherapy program. Sorry? I'm turning to Kelly. Oh, Kelly. Okay. Okay, why don't you two introduce yourselves?
So I'm Claire. I was the course coordinator for physio until a few months ago, so now I'm academic lead for physio, but Kelly's coming, she's just examining, and then I've got Alex.
I'm Alex, one of the lecturers in the physio program, just filling in for Kelly.
Okay, so...
You're being collegial.
Yeah.
Before you go, jane.harford@flinders.edu.au for questions in relation to the health sciences part of your degree. You might need to write that down in very thick ink or in your notes because you're going to potentially use it over the next little while.
But most of you should already have an email from me.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So if you are in the optometry program, can I get you to stand up and come down to the front of the room, and Jason will take you to your next session.
Thanks for coming to the session.
Well, so it'll be more. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. Yeah.
Okie dokie. So I am looking for the occupational therapy students. If you want to come down and we will head out.